Episode 5.
5.
Season 2.
Season 2. The everlasting awesomeness of Santa Cruz. Specifically, a couple of our favorites.
Yeah, and it's very interesting. Obviously, we like Santa Cruz Bicycles. We've sold them since 1997. And after going through some sales data over the last couple of weeks, kind of checking out 2025 data, got some. It kind of created an interesting story that we thought we should do an episode about.
Yes.
So, as just mentioned, we've been selling Santa Cruz forever, and it's interesting hearing which bikes are most popular every year. And so I put together a quick list of like what really got things going with the brand. And so in '97 to kind of in the year 2000. We were selling nothing but hecklers. Like there was the Tasman and the heckler and a few other little variations of things, but the heckler was the number one by like a long shot.
Yep.
And then it was like revolutionary when the Super Light came out because it was like 1.5 pounds lighter and had cooler tubing and still single pivot bike. And that bike like hauled all the way from like 2000, 2003. And then they purchased VPP, and all of a sudden they brought out the Blur. And we all love the Blur, the creakiest bike known to man.
Well, the Pivot Eater.
The Pivot Eater, but it functioned amazing, so people got over the noise because it pedaled so well. So that bike was crazy from like 2003, 2005, and then probably the longest run was the Blur LT, which really wasn't a Blur anymore. It was your classic mid-travel trail bike.
Yeah.
And that bike hauled for a long time.
The tall boy of the day.
Yeah, like hauled forever. And that was kind of like 2005 to 2011-ish. And then starting in 2011 is kind of when the tall boy started coming out, and that kind of was eating up the Blur sales.
Yep.
And then kind of near 2016, that was kind of rolling way more into like the High Tower, right? High Tower was taking over the world. And then 2016 to 2023, basically pick your poison. It was the High Tower or the Bronson. Like those are the bikes that were popular. Don't get me wrong, like we're selling like Nomads and V10s and like standard Blurs at the time, but like the biggest number of bikes was kind of that mid-travel trail bike.
Yeah.
And then 2024, it was really weird. It was really splintering. I think some of that had to do with clear-out bikes and a few different things, but like Tallboy, High Tower, Bronson, 5010, Blur, V10, they all were kind of almost level, like for how many bikes were getting sold.
Yeah.
And we're talking purely acoustic, like we're not talking anything to do with electric bikes yet. And so then we get into 2025 and we look at the sales data, and it was pretty crazy to see in the pedal bike genre what were the two most popular bikes. So that's what we're here to talk about today.
Two most popular bikes.
They're the two most popular Santa Cruz bikes, and you wouldn't really gather that's what they should be.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the ones I would guess if I wasn't on the inside.
Yeah, when we started talking about this earlier this week to do this episode, I've asked a few people, and like no one's got it.
No
one's like, everyone's like, what?
Yeah.
And so it's actually, I think, pretty interesting in the sense to talk about. So I think we should introduce our first one, which has got a namesake of an original really popular bike, but it's way different. So let's start with our friend, the Blur.
The Blur. Okay, so here we are, Blur 4.
Flex day bike.
Flex day bike, model year 26. Not really the fourth iteration of this bike, but it is.
Yeah.
Like this thing, as you say, it's the OG almost. Like this has been around since 02.
02 was when the original Blur came out, and it's kind of funny. This probably has the same travel as the 02, but way different bike, obviously. Like that 02 Blur was meant to be a cross-country trail bike, and seemed like it had tons of travel at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas this is now a like very specific cross-country bike / almost race bike. Not quite, but kinda.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
I think we're into this territory now where when you say something's a race bike, like a cross-country race bike, it seems like that's splitting out into
It is totally.
two camps.
Yeah.
You have the riders that are like, is it a negative rise stem, like
Like Super Caliber from Trek with like,
Punisher,
yeah.
or is it a 115-ish bike to 120, maybe even 130 bike in the front that is very capable of doing cross-country, but also can like sneak attack on other stuff.
You can actually have fun on it, not
Yeah.
just torture yourself. I think like this is by far like 90% of the bikes that we sell for people to cross country race are buying something like this.
Yep.
Because they're not going to buy 16 different bikes. They can ride this bike and go do the race any cross country race in Alberta and BC, and then just go to West Bragg or Moose and ride it. So it works, right?
Yeah, I mean you will do nearly anything you want on this bike within reason. There's certain trails where the tires would be a limitation, or it might just get a little bit like unpleasant. But this is, what was it, 2018 when you and I rode Blur TRs?
Yeah, the kind of the last ones before the
Flex Day, before the Superlight
last VP.
tech.
Yep.
And I remember you and I both sort of being like blown away. Admittedly, we had heavier tires and a few other little mods, but the stuff we were doing on those bikes sort of certainly blew me away.
Yeah.
And was a great reminder of how much work you do on your own to make the bike go fast, right?
I don't think you can have more fun in, say, West Bragg Creek if you've ridden lots of bikes and you put one of these together with like a little more like beefy tire, maybe over fork it a little bit, put a riser bar on it, and so it's like more of a trail bike position.
Yeah.
And you can haul ass on this. Like, yeah, you're not gonna have as much fun on Lomzilla, but if you're gonna go do like Merlin laps or long distance, or you just can just haul ass on this.
So even a trail like Special K, which
totally.
has a demanding top,
It's totally fun.
900 meters or whatever that is, like this would be a bit puckering on that. But as soon as you cleared that, you'd be in such a great spot on this bike. Whereas a lot of people are riding that trail rather, on like pretty monstrous bikes, which is also awesome. But this bike would be wicked out there.
Yeah, it's very capable, right? So just to kind of iterate, we basically, for this episode, brought the two most popular bikes just to talk about. So this is the second most popular bike right now in sales for Santa Cruz, and it's their full-on trail/race bike, which is neat.
Yep.
And it's all going to come down to, it's like, people are buying e-bikes, obviously, so that market, like if you go back to kind of that like 2016 through 23 territory, there's years in there where the high tower represented 50% of the global sales for Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
That's the full high tower lineup from R kit to like double X kit, right?
Right.
And so but that bike was 50% of their business, and now that bike isn't even in the top, like it's not even the top two bikes that they sell, like, because things have really splintered with e-bike sales. So it's cool that like the kind of hardcore genres of riding bikes that are selling well, right?
Well, and I think this is a category bike that you're not going to see the e-bike invasion as readily, because it's such a different set of kind of customer asks. You don't want your bike. Everyone's trying to keep their bike under 30 pounds, and a bunch of that kind of stuff. Me included. Like if I was going to, I have a revolver, but if I was going to go after this bike, like I would want it to be light. That's why you buy it.
Well, and it's interesting. I think I can remember, back in like when the Tall Boy first came out, I was like still a 27.5 guy, and I was riding 5010s, and then I got the middle iterations of the newer Tall Boy, and I was like one of my all-time favorite bikes, because it was like a 28-pound bike, had enough travel, had big tires, I can go do anything on it. It was great.
You just felt fast.
Just felt fast on it, and you didn't have to be in like spectacular shape to get up something. Like it wasn't a tank. And whereas you look at like even my Bronson from last year, which was really whizzy, thing's still 31 pounds. Like, and that's like a super bike. Like that thing was like probably $17,000 retail.
Yeah.
And so like I think we're kind of getting back to, if you're going to pedal it, people, like you said, want it under 30. And like we're seeing stuff like Revolvers under 25, Blurs under 25, and like the difference is insane for how much zippier it is.
And super capable in a more wide ranging setting, which I think is starting to make people look at these bikes again.
Totally.
Where they're like, okay, I'm not just buying like a one trick, like a legit one trick pony. Like these are kind of like 3-trick ponies.
Well, and it's funny, we should put
a lot of ponies.
We'll have to organize this, because I forgot to do it before the show. Is people probably have some PTSD from those original Blurs as far as like head tube angles and like how aggressive it was.
Yeah.
We should put the head tube angle and seat tube angle comparative from the original Blur to this.
So crazy.
Because it's not like, they're not even close. Like this is effectively like an original Super 8 or V10 for head tube angle, seat tube angle.
This is slacker than like.
Well, downhill.
I looked it up and I forgot, but it was like slacker than my OG downhill bike.
Yeah, so it's like super capable bike, just not as much travel, but better travel.
Yeah.
And obviously now Santa Cruz's for years have come with lifetime free bearings, and the bikes don't creak and they're perfect. And the like finishing work is insane, right?
Super insane. It seems to be like a universal feedback too, when you go through a lot of the tests and reviews, that the bike, even though it's a flex day bike, everybody was like, wow, on the downhills it's way more kind of settled and plush than I thought it would be. And
they're zippy.
Yeah, very, very neat.
Yeah, I definitely dig this bike.
Yeah, it's cool.
This color is also making me a little emotional. This would be fun to deck out.
Nailing it.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Should we go to number one bike for Santa Cruz right now?
Bike for Santa Cruz.
Coming up. Okay, I don't know if any of you would have guessed in this video that this is their #1 bike. I know I wouldn't have a couple of years ago.
I wouldn't have called it.
Yeah, this bike is hauling ass for Santa Cruz. It's kind of weird. I know there's this dude you heard of called Jackson Goldstone.
He's pretty good.
I think he's all right, yeah.
He's got a reasonably high profile in the downhill community now,
Yeah.
too.
Last time I saw him on video, he was pretty high in the air. I was like, yesterday.
He is an absolute demon.
Yeah.
I think we all know that.
He's obviously like a nice, fun little piece of the puzzle, but these bikes are just good and they sell themselves.
Well, this bike's always had like a following.
Oh,
No question. The
since day one, yeah.
V10's had a following. But I think it sort of speaks to where we're at. Like the middle of the bike world in the dirt is an e-bike deathmatch right now.
Yep.
And on the edges, we have two totally opposite crowds that are really, really passionate and are still crushing it.
Yep.
So you know, like we talked about with the Blur, it's hard for that bike to be invaded by
E-ified, yeah.
E-ified. And I mean, this is not a bike that really anybody has any interest in putting a motor in, because it would kind of take away the whole, the whole vibe. I just think it's interesting that downhill is still
just killing
it,
Yeah.
and actually makes me want to get into it again.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Especially when you see these. I mean, this example of this bike is so rad.
This is obviously not a stock bike. This is a CRUZ'S bike.
Yeah.
And it's rank. Like this is like a $14,000, $15,000 V10 that's been put together by pieces. And he's got anything that like the best of the best is on it. So
yeah, he did some good work on this.
This is awesome. Yeah, this is crazy.
Definitely a really, really dope ride.
Again, like if you had talked to me 5 years ago, I wouldn't have called this, in the sense that like if someone's buying a 150 to 170 mil treble bike, it seems to have a motor on it. And if you're buying something under 130 or over 200, you're buying it with standard acoustic pedaling.
You're doing your whole thing is different than just being in the trails cutting laps. Like
it's you basically can self shuttle with that mid travel bike, and then if you go to the ski hill, you'll take this. And if you're going to do cross country race laps because you feel like you want to get fit, you'll do it on a short travel bike.
Yeah.
So we got customers that literally have that combo, like be it a Bullet, Blur, and a V10, which is obviously they're spoiled bastards, and that's good for them.
Amazing, yeah.
And then you got guys that are like running the e-bike and then one of these, because they kind of, a lot of guys will lean to one side. Like it might be a fit dude that wants a race bike and a bike just to go get more fitness on, which they can do more laps and self-shuttle. Or you got a guy who's like, man, I like going to moose and downhill, but I don't want to shuttle anymore in the back of a truck because it hurts my back and my bike and my wallet for gas. Yeah. So it's like, I'll get a V10, like a downhill bike, and a Vala or a Bullet. So it's pretty cool, like how it's like changed the whole dynamic of like what's going on.
Yeah, I know. Like I haven't had a true outright downhill bike for a while now, and I got to say, if I lived near a bike park, I'd have a hard time not cracking and building one of these.
Oh, and these like for the first time, like throughout the whole like shit show known as the bike industry since COVID, like these are going to be in short supply again. Like last year we sold out of them. Yeah. This year it looks like they're all going to be gone. Like people are having troubles getting them for rentals. Like I think the bikes are going to be in short supply by basically, if you don't have one of these in your garage, probably by May or June, you're not going to get one.
You're not getting it.
Yeah, and then they'll be resupplied again next January. So
I think it's insanely cool. Like we're on V10 8 now. You know, the just the iterating that's gone on with this bike, where they just keep like the Blur has had a few like low grade like DNA changes where it's gone to a flex stay, and you know there's been 3 variants of tech on that bike, like you know, VPP, the short, like the trail bike that you and I had, and then well, I guess 2.5 versions.
Yeah.
Then the flex stay thing, and then the slightly more long travel flex stay thing. This bike's been a VPP bike. Like this has been like the VPP flagship bike since 02, like since they brought it out.
Oh, I remember that, and it's funny. It'd be cool to put a little photo up. We'll do it in the video of the original V10, which is like basically, it was crazy because it seemed so slack at the time. And you remember you had to sag at 40%. Yeah. So you just felt like you were on a couch. It was so crazy because people were coming from Super 8s at the time. Yes. Which were just pogo sticks. And because the shocks always blew up.
Shock exploders.
Yeah. And so then you got into that V10 and your eyeballs were all nice and smooth. You're hauling down Mount 7. Yep. And you're like on a couch. It was like, oh my God, this is so good, right? Yeah. And so and they've just reiterated now to, it's like not just like a point and shoot. Obviously, by watching videos online, you can see people kicking ass on this.
Yeah. So it's just so cool. It's so highly evolved. Like it's literally the evolution of nearly 25 years of DH bike kind of schools of thought evolving and changing, and the level of like data acquisition they've started to get into there a decade plus ago. I don't know. It's just I got into a couple different rabbit holes about them with the mules on this, and where they were really working hard to not really change the character of the bike, but to make it better.
Yep.
And you'd think those two things would sort of go hand in hand, where it's like, you can make something better, but that doesn't necessarily mean people will like it better.
Yep.
So it was really cool to see the way they went about this. It's just such a rad bike.
It's also neat. It's kind of like the downhill scene is effectively like the F1 of like car manufacturing, right? So you see all the trickle down like if you that original monocoque aluminum V10, like the number of doors that blew, like people's brains exploded.
Yeah,
it was so cool.
I know it certainly rocked me.
It was amazing. Like, wow. And that was when we were running our downhill team that was traveling Canada and the US and stuff. So you got all these like grommets kicking ass on these like killer looking aluminum bikes. And then they went to carbon, and everyone's mind was blown. It's like, you can't use carbon on a downhill bike, and now that's just standard issue, right?
Well, and I think they probably are almost hyped they can use carbon, because they can create certain characteristics maybe a little easier than having to manipulate tubes.
Yeah, definitely harder to make mules and stuff like that, but like they definitely get to a point where it's good, and boom, you got a mold and rinse and repeat. Yeah,
definitely the mad science behind this is impressive. And I think it's really cool that the bike is like, you know, if you're racing, this bike is your bike. But if you're just a park demon,
oh, it's perfect.
This also is your bike. Like, and I think that's something that they didn't necessarily totally try to do, like, but I think they wanted it to work well everywhere.
Yep.
Whether you're racing or park lapping.
Yep.
And I like that, because some downhill bikes are wicked if you can ride them like at the ragged edge.
Like Fabian Barrel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you also maybe aren't that aggressive, or you're just an aged out DH turd like me, and you just want to go do laps, I would still have a great time on this bike.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting when that new, well, I guess the last version of the Nomad came out, and then this bike came out, and the Nomad was basically a little mini V10. And it's funny, you could kind of go back and forth between the bikes, and I kind of feel the same now. Whereas the V10 used to definitely feel a bit more all mountainy.
Yeah.
Whereas the V10, the Nomad, you're still kind of a pedalable V10, but it's still like, if you're at the park, this is still just a whole next step, right?
Yeah. No, like I say, if I had the juice and I had the terrain a little nearer at hand for park laps, this would be in the fleet.
Yeah.
Like, probably without question. So.
Well, and undoubtedly through what's going on the last couple of years, this bike is in a lot of people's fleets.
I think so.
Yep.
Yeah, it's very cool. Like, at the end of the day, as much as I am a like dyed-in-the-wool e-bike fiend, and I'll never back off from that. Like, come at me.
Yeah.
But
let's do this, bro.
But you know, the fact that there's sort of those edges of the sport are alive and well, and if anything, they're driving innovation in a lot of situations.
Oh, for sure.
I think that's super rad, and I'm really looking forward to riding like my light bike this year. And yeah, if time permits and wallet permits, I don't know, I might have to sneak attack on the downhill bike too.
That's neat. Yeah, it's super fun.
Yeah.
It's obviously all the trails are built for something the size of this. If you look at, you know, if you're at Whistler, it's like there's basically two rental fleets. It's either a V10 or a Commensal.
Yeah.
And the trails are built for that. So if you're going to a place like that, this bike is perfect.
It's the weapon.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that blew your doors off, but it blew my doors off that these are kind of their two most popular bikes right now. It's pretty neat. It's cool the sport is evolving, and we have there's just always something fun to put your leg over that's got two wheels on it.
Totally. Yeah, I know. It makes me stoked to see these two types of bikes succeeding.
Very happy.
Yeah. So we're stoked is what we're saying.
Super stoked.
We'll resume being stoked with you next week.
Still stoked.
Still stoked next week.
Bye.